world surrounded by franchises, reboots, and shared universes. An elite team of podcasters will risk body and soul to investigate the depths of intellectual properties, one multiverse, subgenre, and trend at a time. Who are we? We're the IP Squad.
Welcome back to the IP Squad and our ongoing investigation into films based on Sherlock Holmes. I'm John Campbell, of course, my partners for this investigation is the Jones Boys. We've got Brendan Jones.
Hello!
And Robin Jones.
Hey, John, can I just take a couple of minutes? You know, I don't like to put myself too much into this. I don't like to detract from what...
Never.
But I do want to take this moment, if I may, to thank you personally. And this may embarrass you a little bit, and I'm not above that, but but I will say that giving me the opportunity to have this as a backdoor pilot for a new podcast entitled Feeling All Dwight, I'm not feeling too good myself, the howling mad career of Dwight Schultz is so
You know what?
And I really want
that's another one that, like, if I did that, no one would be surprised. I love that man. I love him in this. I've loved him in everything I've ever seen him in.
You were gonna do the Adkins diet, and
you know what? I would also do that because that's another actor who I adore.
He's really good. He comes in, he's
the
like,
best.
Oh my God, is that Tom Atkins?
Well, he's always one of those guys who's solid in everything, even if the material, and often the material with him is garbage.
This was a parade of actors I did not know could do good British accents doing British accents.
It is a lot of the cast of this are people you would
Who
never
knew
have
Stephen Collins had that kind of an accent.
Yeah, and this is the last time you'll hear a chance to. Thank God there were no teenage girls on the play. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
One thing is, I will say this play was not problematic at all.
Oh, what?
Hello? Brennan, your screen freeze?
I'm just saying, you got Mr. Langella has been Me Too'd, and Stephen Collins much worse than Me Too'd.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, hey, if you can put that aside, enjoy.
I don't have the same. Collins, when he shows up in anything, I am like, oh God. Langella, I don't have the same reaction to as a Stephen Collins because it's more like
you famously have said, the ladies deserve it.
No, but he didn't.
Whoa!
Wasn't that one of your direct quotes?
John, didn't you say to me off camera? Didn't you say?
Brendan always makes me out to be a monster on these podcasts. I feel like. No, my only point is that Frank Langella, I agree, should maybe not be acting and stuff anymore if he can't get with the times. But let me just say that the accusations against him are not great. But
it's a different thing.
It's a different thing. There is a spectrum to this stuff that once again colors my ability to go back and watch them. Not so much now. I agree that Langella shouldn't. Once again, he can't stop with the hey, it's a joke.
Just put him in things that only have older men, and then he'll be like,
yeah,
well, you found my kryptonite.
He's in. We talked a little bit about this before, maybe, but I don't know if we did it on mic. But yeah, the idea that he's definitely of the like, hey man, we can't joke anymore, kind of older guys that you're like, come on, dude.
In my day,
yeah. Whereas Stephen Collins is a full-on fucking monster.
Right. You read Langella's autobiography, All Those Babes I Screwed?
No.
It is.
You know what? I've been waiting because...
It's actually, Brendan, I'm not joking too much in saying that that's the title, because that's what it is.
All Those Babes I Screwed. Come on. I was Dracula. I was Sherlock Holmes. I was Zorro on TV.
Did he actually say After the Love Is Gone. Wasn't that the title of it? After the love is gone.
Yeah.
Used to be right.
Okay, I mean, you know what? I did dropped the title
sort
of
an
his.
affair with the older Yvonne DiCarlo or something. It's just.
I've got it
like,
here. You're not. I mean, you know, you have to jump, but the title of his autobiography is "Drop Names: Famous Men and Women as I Knew Them."
Well, I'm hard.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
I thought you were gonna say this is crazy because this is not a backdoor pilot. This is the second episode of Desperately Seeking Susan, the Susan Clark podcast that we've been doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she
I
has
like
a lot more to do here than she did in Murder by Decree.
She definitely does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all these guys that we talk about on this show, the big surprise for me was Tom Atkins, because I did not remember that he was in it, and I would not have been able to tell you that he could do a good Cockney accent. But
that's what I was going to say is it's incredible how much of this cast are being cast against type and not even, but like just in this thing. No one would have made a Sherlock Holmes movie and thought to call Tom Atkins, you know, or Collins. I mean, that's the thing I think that's interesting about this is you go like, oh, right, it does speak to something that I like about theater, which is I do feel like actors get a little less, typecast in theater. I mean, it happens, but more than they will experiment with casting a little bit more in theater than they will in film. And I think this is an example of where you can show your chops.
The listeners, 20 minutes into the podcast, we're talking about Sherlock Holmes, The Strange Case of Miss Alice Faulkner, which was a filmed stage play, I guess videotaped stage play.
It was part of the HBO series Standing Room Only.
Actually, Arts and Entertainment, A&E.
Oh, A&E?
No, this was
it's HBO.
It's HBO, Brennan. It was Standing Room Only, and they had this and Barefoot in the Park, which maybe you remember us watching, you and me, at one point.
It was HBO.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wait Until Dark, and
they weren't all.
Yeah, they were a few things.
They weren't all plays. Some of them were comedy specials. Some of them were concerts. Some of them were plays. But this was basically Standing Room Only was HBO's series of filmed live events, which. Yeah, this is a big thing in general for me, and watching this again is do more of these. I can't get to Broadway, and the idea also the thing is always
you have the Broadway channel.
Yeah, but even that but that doesn't have all the Broadway shows. Not even close. Not even close. They still are at the mercy of what they're allowed to film, right? So, maybe you get a couple a year.
Want people to still buy tickets and
go
live.
This is the thing that gets me is I don't think that would hurt that because it's not the same experience. And
what I think they should do is they should film like the last from the last week of performance before a show closes, because at that point then air it.
Well, or like
years to see something, it's like,
that's kind of what they do when they do the PBS Great Performances,
which I love. I love that series, obviously.
Tape, not the last week of performances for the entire production, but instead the last week with, say, the original cast.
I was going to say, because that's like what they did
watching
Hamilton. That wasn't part of that, but that was the same thing. It's like, yes, Hamilton's still running, but we have a record of that original cast of Hamilton, which is, very... and so Clooney just did Good Night and Good Luck. They did their last performance live, actually. They broadcast it on CNN, which was, incredible.
I have off mic apologized to Brendan and John. The only way you can see this, unless you have a videotape cassette, because I think you could buy them or rent them.
You probably could. I bet you could, yeah.
But
for like $100 or whatever,
But the only way you can see it now is this truncated, cut up into parts.
Yeah.
Way on YouTube, and the video quality is so deteriorated that you really are you're really listening to a radio play pretty much, because you can't see very much except at the very beginning and the very end. And
yeah, there's a couple times it kind of comes back into focus, and you're like, oh, is it gonna? Yeah. Oh no, never mind.
Right,
it comes and goes. It's terrible quality.
Which is a bummer. HBO, make this available in, even if it's in VHS quality, at least not deteriorated VHS quality.
Yeah, if they still have the master somewhere.
Right. It would behoove them to restore it and release it on disc, because these are really well done. They're usually for the Williamstown Theater Festival, which is one of the best in the country, and they are really nice examples of American theater. This, as Brennan mentioned, is a play that was written at the turn of the century by William Gillette as a vehicle for himself to play Sherlock Holmes in.
Yeah.
And it was very much an example of what theater was like at that time, which was like 5 acts, and maybe a couple of them have a couple of scenes in it, but basically the acts are the scenes. And the acts tend to take place in one set that is moved, or there's a backdrop that comes down, or something occurs to where each one takes place in almost a different place. And I loved it because you're not just seeing these some of them somewhat problematic actors, but doing theater, you're seeing them make real a style of theater that is not has been deemed irrelevant, and they show you the relevance of how that works, of what makes it awesome.
A lot of theater of that period and adaptations specifically, because again, the Dracula film is based on the 1920s play.
Yep.
And that it's creaky and it's dated, but what the film and the original play lean into is we're going to condense it, and we're going to hit high points. We're going to give you a distilled version of what you could sit down with a book and read at your leisure, but we want to punch you in the face because we know that what you've come for is kind of a melodrama, and so they're going to heighten the elements. And what I liked about this, and some people in the reviews don't like it for the exact reasons I like it, which is what you were talking about. It is a different style they're going for, where they know you already know this character and you're waiting for kind of a greatest hits. And because there's no action scenes, because this is a filmed play, it is all about the energy they bring to their performances. And some people in their reviews are like going, well, I'm sure this played great in a theater, for 1,000 people or whatever, but on video, this is just embarrassing. No, I don't find that way at all.
No, I don't
because
agree with that.
Because you hear the audience there, and they're playing to me. And yes, again, the bad video quality, it doesn't. You can't get all the expressions, but there's an energy to Langella's performance, and everyone else's that
everybody
pumps this up.
Yep.
That dialogue just goes like that, and all of but they also know when to stop for the beat, where either there's a joke, an implied joke, or they also know when to stop to let people gasp at how brilliant Holmes is. They know where to stop, but until then, you're just dazzled. It's like, I'm just dazzled by intellect here. I love it.
That criticism is nonsense to me, because it's a film. Like, I go in knowing it's a filmed stage production. So yeah, if they were acting like this in a movie with like traditional close-ups and stuff, that would have been very weird in the 1980s. However, that's on you. It's like you're not engaging with the material as it's being presented at that point. That is not a problem. No. This is not meant to be a film. It is a play they were doing that they have captured as a matter of record. And yes, one of the things I was surprised. I love the audience reaction, how clearly into it they were. I was surprised at how funny this was. I was surprised at how many laugh breaks there were. And it's very, it's not laugh out loud, it's not a farce. It's witty. That was the thing that I kept thinking. It's just how witty and smart the play is.
Right.
And oddly, the original actor guy who adapted the material, he steals from various places, and just because I've been rereading recently and just finished The Sign of the Four,
Mm-hmm.
there's like the little lifts. He just
Sure.
pulled what he wanted
Yeah.
from the Conan
Yeah.
Doyle stories, put it in there. So it was almost like a Sherlock Holmes greatest hits.
Yeah.
He did a really great job of adaptation, and that performance, his show back in whenever 1918, 1919, somewhere in there, was probably awesome, just as awesome as this, and they probably also laughed at the same points. Though here it is, you've gotten that much more familiar with the character, and it's hard to like say, oh, over the decades we know Sherlock Holmes better. Not really. There's just been more Holmeses. So yes, little bits here and there where they do the cocaine bit, and you're like, oh, they're gonna do that. But the whole thing of, and I'm sure, I don't know if it's in the actual directions of the play, but where he's like going, oh, everyone's got their thing, and then he just sort of taps at Watson's glass, like, you drink your booze, I will have my cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, brilliant. Of course that's a laugh beat. It's not a huge laugh, but it's just Holmes getting in his shot, and it's great. Yeah. I really dug it, man.
Yeah, I did too.
And I think this is a great Moriarty, by the way.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting there going like, I don't know this guy, and the other people that I'm recognizing
you on TV at the time. I remember
he's
after
around.
I saw this, I would see him like show up as like a drug dealer on an episode of the A-Team or something.
Yeah.
Like,
George Morphigan or Morphigan, I don't know how you pronounce it. But he's so good. And I mean, people in the reviews are just idiots. There was one guy going like, oh, Langella wasn't even the original actor for that run, and they brought him in just because of this thing, and the other guy was so much better. And I'm like, maybe he was, but I mean, Langella is awesome. And then he's like going, and I don't know what this guy with the Moriarty, he's trying to do him like Nixon. One of the reviews, like, he's doing a Nixon version. I'm like, what? I mean, other than the fact that he hunches forward and he's kind of jowly. Yeah, he's not doing.
Well, I do
Nixon.
the thing I like about
it looks very much like the illustrations from
the thing I like about this Moriarty is he really is like supervillain, the Napoleon of crime, right? He's like a kingpin, right? So everyone's coming to his office. He's
literally saying like, you come after me, you realize you've opened a world of hurt. Essentially, it's like you're dealing with powers you can't understand.
Yeah,
what are you, a wizard?
It's the Nixon-y aspect of him is not Nixon as much as it is, like, to me, president of crime. When he's introduced, he's behind his desk. The criminals come to him. Everything is.
I love the whole thing where he goes, "I'm not here. You're going to be me." And then what I love is that they get into the thing, and Moriarty literally can't contain himself. So he starts coming down. He's blown that. He's like going, "No, you'll do this, and you'll do this." And it's like, right. So that guy was, you're the real. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
No, I loved it.
The energy about 1,000% too. And he comes when he starts like yelling at everybody. It's a great tell of Holmes has gotten under this dude's skin in a major way.
And here's what I'm going to say about Mr. Langella.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the man. And
no.
I've seen his work, even in terrible things. But here's you've led a blessed life. When you look like that, you have that voice. Voice.
Yeah.
And you have been able to play Sherlock Holmes, Dracula, Zorro, and Skeletor.
And Skeletor.
All in one life.
And
I'm not joking.
No. And Nixon. To the point about the Nixon thing. And Nixon, which is astounding in.
Freaking rock
astounding as Nixon. For a guy who doesn't look anything like Nixon, he fucking became Nixon. That's how good an actor he is.
Frost Nixon, I did not. I mean, I knew the play, but I was sitting there going like, I did not know the movie would be that good.
Oh, it's so good.
It is a two-hander, and it's.
It helps when you have two of the just fucking best actors, and those. What a pleasure it is to watch those.
And by the way, when it kind of climaxes with the actual,
I'm saying that when the president doesn't.
The actual interview where he goes, when you're the president, you can do what you want.
Yeah.
And that is the big, like, oh my God, stake through the heart moment. And then we realize we're living in a world where we have a president going,
I'm saying that when the president doesn't, that means it's not illegal.
And now it's not even shocking to people.
No, I do think that's something I've talked about is Watergate is quite quaint. by today's standards.
It's adorable.
Quite quaint.
It's cute.
What a cute little crime he committed there. You know,
What a cute little crime.
That's a nice. That's a nice minor felony.
Anyway, Frank Langella is amazing, and he's amazing in this.
Yeah.
I didn't even mind that he didn't cut his hair. At least he kind of tamped it down, because that's still 70s, 80s. Langella, he's like, no, I'm not gonna cut my hair to be Victorian.
Well, this is not long after we talked to
Dracula.
Of course, back in the days, when we were doing the 70s movies on Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters, we did talk about his Dracula, of which I'm a big fan, and I love the way. It's interesting that people talk about how melodramatic this is, because one of the things I love about his Dracula performance in the John Badham movie is how subtle he is. That he doesn't overplay it. He just commands a room. He talked about his approach to Dracula was, this is a guy who doesn't need to prove his power. His presence alone is terrifying. And so then, once again, to speak about what a good actor he is, then to come here and be this verbose, big, energetic, Holmes who's putting all the pieces together. And
but again, he is playing to an audience, too. I would have loved to have seen his Dracula on stage.
Oh, I would have. Well, I would have also loved to have seen Raul Julia do it. But
with those Edward Gorey designed sets for that production.
Yeah, that would have been something.
I mean,
speaking of productions,
and Brendan, they were doing.
That wasn't a new Dracula play. They were doing the original.
No, I know. That's why I want to see it, because it's not the film that I've seen him in. It's the original play.
That wasn't. Yeah, that wasn't. That Badham movie was pulling him from the Broadway show, but not adapting the Broadway show. It was just a. Although I am quite a defender of that movie, which I like quite a bit. I will say though, speaking of. The John Williams score is very good as well. There's a shock. But speaking of productions I wish I could have seen, I don't know if you guys, how much you read about this play and its various productions. But in 1976 at Birmingham Repertory Theater, Alan Rickman played Sherlock Holmes in a production of this. And David Suchet was Professor Moriarty. That would have been a night at the theater that you would never forget. Could you? By the way, I'm bummed we never got a Rickman Holmes on screen, because you're like, ooh, he would crush a Sherlock Holmes performance.
There wouldn't be anything left.
Yeah. Also, apparently, Leonard Nimoy did it on Broadway as Holmes, and I would be just endlessly curious because
I remember when that.
I mean, literally, Star Trek 6,
If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the bowl.
Bilbo.
Yeah, Bilbo Baggins.
Bilbo Baggins.
I just think,
Wild frontier.
the other thing I want to mention, we were talking about William Gillette, but we should also mention that the play was, at least initially, written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. There was the idea being that people were like, hey, this character of yours is so great. Have you thought about doing it for the stage? He's like, well, yeah, sure, I'll crank that out. And then apparently they were like, well, this is something, maybe you should let this guy who actually knows how to.
It often happens when they go to original authors. I mean, J.K. Rowling wrote a screenplay for the first adaptation of her book, the first Harry Potter, and they're like, you're not quite there yet.
Well, I mean, they are different mediums, right? I mean, they is sort of that thing.
You keep writing about these
men who can change into women and women who can change into men, and how they need to be destroyed, and that doesn't really have anything to do with the book. So
she doesn't want them destroyed. She just doesn't want them to be able to state what they are.
That
ain't no woman.
Wow.
All right, wait. This is becoming the most political episode of this podcast.
We've gotten John anxious and concerned.
Guys, the numbers. I don't want to lose the flyover states.
What about the merch?
Yeah,
the merch
guys. No, I just think But so I mean, the basic structure of the play apparently comes from Doyle, but. Yes, Gillette brought a lot of the, I think, wit and pacing to it.
Yeah.
And yes, also
I did bring. I probably mentioned the Orson Welles
radio version of this play, and I think you can usually find it under the title "The Immortal Sherlock Holmes," but in that radio broadcast, he interviewed a very old William Gillette.
Nice.
In the
broadcast to talk about the production.
I every time I think about this, because when I saw it initially, I thought, oh, this is great. They're killing it. This is, Langella. There's like lines in here that it takes a very good actor to be able to make them work, because there's like a lot of stuff where Holmes is getting revved up, and he goes, what, yes, 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 like 27 one word being repeated 27 times in a row.
And they crack the code of, well,
He's manic, and if it's not cocaine,
it's a puzzle, and he goes into overdrive,
and that's what's driving this repetition. But he just makes it sing. And I in watching / listening to this for today, I
kept thinking, I wish somebody had the balls
to revive this, because I think it would kill it with the right actor and the right production again. It's
not what I would call a finely tuned Swiss watch,
but I believe that with the right director, the right production,
well,
the right
anytime
cast,
Holmes or Moriarty aren't on stage, it does lag a little bit. It's like,
a little.
Sorry guys, these villains on their own, no matter how good the actors are. That one scene that's in the gas chamber thing, where it's just the assorted villains who aren't the main guys are all kind of talking. You're like, I don't care about
the only thing that works about that scene.
Like the safecracker has to have like a little.
He's doing little bits in order to keep your interest.
Everybody's good. The thing I do like about the gas chamber scene is, in retrospect, it works when they go through the entire plan and then you see Holmes just dismantle it. Right, that it does set up that.
I know,
but
it's not till Holmes shows it back up.
No, that's what I'm saying is I don't know how you work around that.
The long lighting, the huge fire to light his cigar, and you're sitting there going while Larrabee or whatever his name is sitting there just going, oh my God, we're gonna blow up.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Well, the thing I do like, once again, in the Langella performance, it's so interesting coming after Murder by Decree, right, which was so dark and haunted. This is a Sherlock Holmes who revels in being Sherlock Holmes. The way Langella plays him, he loves the I've already figured this out.
Well, here's what we've benefited from doing this IP Squad series is so many interpretations,
and they're all valid,
and
right?
Almost all of them work.
Yeah, all of them are.
But I mean,
all of them are. Yeah. No, yeah, I mean there have been some that.
Mother, why are you bothering me again, Mother?
Yeah.
There's no volcano.
Yeah,
there's no volcano, Mother.
You're right. Sorry, I take back my statement that they're all valid. They're mostly valid.
This is a Holmes who comes to life. I mean, literally, we've seen that before when presented with a puzzle, and he is on fire. The dude's just on fire, and the way he spits it all out. And God. He's definitely an egotist, but but he's still. Watson isn't very involved in this storyline.
No,
when he finally shows up, and it's just Holmes going like, oh, Watson, and just like he's so happy his buddy's there. It's like, right.
The thing about this is you're talking about, because
the whole thing at the end though with the falling in love stuff, that isn't land at all, but still
because he hasn't been playing that character.
They're trying to make, because obviously Gillette
in lifting the greatest hits of Holmes is also lifting from the Irene Adler Scandal in Bohemia
story as well,
and also trying to avoid any of the gay stuff. So it's like, no. My Holmes is down with the ladies.
I do think, if you were to,
was like, and I get to kiss a pretty girl on stage. All right. I guess I'll write.
There's that, and I think there's also a little bit like movies, or early Hollywood movies, where it's like we need a little bit of everything, right? If people are coming to the theater, there's going to be some humor, there's going to be some suspense, there's going to be some romance, right? It almost feels like we're just going to give them all things in one show.
At the end of the show, he's basically going, yes, this was my last case.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there going, so you wanted to kind of have your cake and eat it too, so you wrote a a fantasy fan fiction ending where Sherlock goes off in the sunset with the love of his life. You're like, okay.
Maybe. But they also set it up that this could lead to Reichenbach Falls too.
Yeah,
well, because
that.
I do the last Moriarty scene where
I'll
it's just
see you on the continent.
I like that, and I like the whole thing where it's like I love the whole thing about like you assume a prison can hold me. I assume nothing. That's all.
Yeah.
Gold. That's all good superhero, supervillain banter, right? Like, and that's the thing about when you talk about Brendan the idea that this is all combining all these stories and everybody knows these stories of the time. So yes, this is quite the opposite of what something like Private Life or 7% Solution or Murder by Decree. This is superhero.
This isn't vision. At all.
No, this is he is 100% the pop culture figure of Sherlock Holmes in this.
Yeah.
And that's fun.
Even when we're getting scenes that were in that first film we watched with our first cinematic Holmes, including the aforementioned sit down at the coffee table talk between Holmes and Moriarty, and the bullets, Robin.
The bullets, yeah.
I mean, it is great. I thought it was well done in that film with. I keep forgetting his name. What was our first Holmes?
Oh, it was
that guy.
Jeez,
I feel terrible.
I have it here. No.
And I thought that was my favorite scene in that movie too. Yeah, and it was fine. He was like we said before, a little bit of a cozy and sleepy Holmes, but still good.
Still very smart, but sitting a lot.
Yeah, it's Batman sitting across from the Joker. It's exactly. It's like, look, we're matching wit for wit,
right?
And
by the way,
this scene really wouldn't have gone anywhere without the work of a young Christian Slater.
Hey,
who basically owned this movie.
I think he is very good, and I've always really liked Christian Slater.
Sure.
I
thought it was weird that Sherlock goes, Billy, don't be a hero. Don't be a fool with your life.
That's where that came from, though. They stole that.
I thought it was weird that this kid sounded
so much like a British Jack Nicholson. And
a British young Jack Nicholson.
Odd choice, I thought.
What are you talking about, guys? Come on.
Come on.
I was gonna. Well, now that you brought up the bullet thing, I mean, it becomes an iconic thing. I don't know if this is the first thing to do that per se. But I mean, they to brief just for
it's a great bit of
a split
prep.
second.
I
step into 007 corner to say that the movie Spectre does the exact same scene. There's the I mean it's oft copied. The idea about like but I have the bullets. It's a great moment. I will say though, things that this play is credited with creating are the line "Elementary, my dear Watson." I mean, they can't I like that they're like we're pretty sure this is the first place it was said. It's definitely not in any of the Doyle stuff.
No,
right.
And it's also the first place that gave him the iconic curved pipe, the big that I will say though, in watching these movies, while the iconic drawing certainly it's like on covers of books everywhere and stuff like that, we haven't actually seen in that many movies. The pipe, even though it's such an iconic thing. We've seen him smoke a pipe, but that specific like big sort of like horn.
I mean, Plummer had it.
Yeah, I mean we've seen. Yeah, that's what I mean.
In this play, he doesn't have that.
It was in the original Gillette production.
Pipe.
Yeah, I do like that whole bit too. Once again, great staging of when I go to light a new cigarette, let the woman go, and because he's already set that up, the way Langella plays, striking the match and doing it slowly, he's letting the audience wait for this moment. It's great.
Yeah,
I mean, and there's bits all the way through it, which
that's one of the things of how do you put on what could be considered a hoary old warhorse of a theater piece.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's that you infuse it with organic bits that you can draw. For instance, the thing about tapping the scotch glass, that's not in the play. He indicates the scotch glass. He indicates the glass of liquor. And I'm sure the thing where somebody gestures to him and then he mocks the gesture. Again, these are like things that they have created within this to do. I but it's so playful and up for that even when we get to some of the stuff where it's not Moriarty, it's not Holmes, it is much more melodrama with Stephen Collins and Susan Clark and Laurie Kennedy from Eight Is Enough. Brendan, did you catch that?
She was the one I always thought was overlooked. I always thought she was really cute.
Well, that show,
she was supposed to be the awkward daughter.
Yeah, that show did teach us that 8 is enough to fill our lives with love. So I mean, that's the real.
True.
Well,
it's true.
John,
Again,
how can you argue
Robin,
with
please
it?
appreciate the fact that that's an embryo who remembers the lyrics to that show. That
I
was
know.
Cable.
20 years before he was born.
Cable,
and John, by the way, that theme didn't come into the show until maybe the second or third season. Originally,
I'm always fascinated by shows that do that, right? Like the iconic
do the
stuff.
retro thing, because it's usually more common that they start with lyrics and then they get rid of the lyrics,
right?
And just because
or I mean, it's things like Happy Days, right? The Happy Days
But
theme, of course, is not
enough to fill our lives with love.
I also just love the thinking of that.
I think Grant Goodeve negotiated his contract to return.
He
You gotta let me do a
sing
song.
That's right.
Because I do like the idea of thinking like where they're just like the show's already going and presumably already somewhat successful, and the idea they're just like, I think we need lyrics, Like,
by the way, Laurie Kennedy's still going, man.
Nice.
I know.
A couple episodes of City on a Hill she was in just like
I watched that.
Ago.
I watched that.
She was in an episode of Crashing.
I loved Crashing.
Yeah. So she's still working. God bless her.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the thing about these people. The character actors and stuff like that. You can work
she
forever.
ended up with Sherlock Holmes, so she didn't do too bad.
I think she's totally fine here. I do think that part, and some of that is just by necessity of the plot, is the most underwritten of the parts.
Yeah,
she is the object at the center of the thing, right?
With an Irene Adler, there is proof to her genius, and you can see why Sherlock is going to fall for her. Here, it's just people saying how special she is, but there's nothing in the play that allows her to be anything other than, well, I guess thank you for giving me the packet back, and I guess I'll be noble and give it to these.
Yeah.
No, don't do that, dear lady. And you're like going, why is she the one that Sherlock ends up?
No, I will say it does kind of.
Ain't no Irene.
And Irene Adler is one of those things, of course, and Brendan, as Mr. Source Material, she was just in one of the Doyle stories.
Yes,
but
Scandal in Bohemia.
But because she stood out as so different than any other character, and the only woman that he ever had, even if it's not a romantic, but some sort of chemistry, heat with.
To Sherlock Holmes, she would always be the woman.
Right, and but the idea is that like
she's the only one that ever mattered.
But the idea then is that she is, for characters in one story, is so frequently used in stuff because people are like, oh, that's the female lead of Sherlock Holmes. You're like, well, she's really just in the one story.
It's like if the Joker had only been in one comic of Batman.
I mean, it is that sort of thing.
Or I guess Catwoman.
Catwoman, yeah, because I mean, she is sort of the Catwoman, right? Where it is like
to Bruce Wayne, she would always be the Catwoman.
I just think it's interesting, and we'll, as we get through we talked about like Sherlock Holmes in New York, where it's like Irene, but you're just like, yeah, but like Irene Adler, Doyle never meant for her to be the great love of his life necessarily, as much it was just like this woman he came across who's like, ooh, fascinating. But people going back through are like, well, that's the only thing that even remotely feels like that. So let's just keep bringing her back. Like it's an interesting thing that there's way more of her not written by Doyle than there is probably in any other Sherlock Holmes characters.
It's funny that Nicholas Meyer creates this other woman in 7% Solution. And then in any follow-up books that he writes about Sherlock Holmes, he brings in Irene Adler. You don't find out about the Vanessa Redgrave character, except and she went on her way.
Right.
The end.
The end.
I do think Holmes is tough to do love stories with, right? Because I mean, that is kind of the point of Irene Adler is like it's the very rare occasion that any
But
kind of rise
also,
this guy gets any kind of rise out of.
it's it's in the play, and it's again just because I just read it. It is from The Sign of Four, the thing where he goes, look, the thing you wrote, your writings about me, you keep wanting to put like romance in them, and it's like the line about that's like putting an elopement into the fifth problem of Euclid or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's a great line. But I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's just in the book I just read.
Yeah.
So they lifted that. But it is him. It's sort of meta because he's basically saying, look, I'm not a romance guy. So
No.
stop trying to make it out like I'm saving damsels in distress. It's the problem that interests me, not the people involved. Literally, they're just pieces in this puzzle.
I mean, we'll
that's
talk
something
about that.
Watson, being a lusty guy, is like,
Yeah.
I just don't get it. Do you not know that's a very attractive woman who's asking for our help? He's like, well, why don't you go marry her? I don't give a crap about any of that.
Holmes is the kind of guy who can like I can recognize that's a very attractive woman, and then I just move on.
Yes.
Like it's all intellectual with him. I recognize
Right.
based
It
on the
has
symmetry of
no
their face.
bearing on the problem.
It only has a bearing
has
on
no bearing.
the only bearing as a problem is like if other people might be attracted to her, and that leads to being a clue in the something like that, right? And I think that we'll talk about this more so because I think it's something really that Moffat and Gatiss really lean into, of course, right? Is that he is so devoid of human feeling, at least on the surface.
Asexual.
Yeah, I mean he is. Well, except for when it comes to Irene Adler, but even still, that is like the smallest of sparks in Cumberbatch's performance, right? It is just like, ooh. But then still
is ridiculous because it's Laura Pulver.
Yeah.
So
Mentioned. Watch Mobland, Brendan, once again. She's in it. She's very good in it.
She's a nice lady.
She's a nice lady.
She's a very nice lady. I don't think she's ever been bad.
No, she's good and everybody likes her.
All right,
Okay,
fellas.
anyway,
All right, fellas. Let's get the
so
hose
we
out here in a
thoroughly
second.
enjoyed this play, and
It is-
I would recommend it if you can handle
Yeah.
awful, pixelated.
Yeah, this I would say for
down 8th generation VHS.
that's the only thing that keeps it from like when I would say like completist only is like how desperately do you need to see this? Because if you want to casually check it out, the version of it. That's why I'm saying actually to HBO somewhere there's got to be a master tape of this or something. Maybe I don't know.
There's gotta be.
Please, and you
And
don't.
who owns it?
Yeah, I don't know what. I don't
think
even know
it
what the
would
rights
be
situation.
either HBO or Williamstown. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
it's just a shame because I've mentioned the other productions that I've seen that were all very good. It's the Rainmaker. Tommy Lee Jones just runs the table in those scenes, and
Hot take.
Wait
He's a
Until
very
Dark.
good actor. Oh yeah, I do want to
Stacey
see that.
Keach
Wait until
playing
dark.
the Alan Arkin part, and
Ugh.
Catherine Ross is the Audrey Hepburn part.
Yeah, I would kill to see that.
It's really good. I just think it's a shame.
Yeah.
They obviously put these things on live because they thought people would want to see these actors, these famous actors, be in something completely different than what they ordinarily got.
Plus,
in
that was
film.
probably, it's like, oh yeah, that's cheap. Let's just film a play.
100%.
And it'll be something that people around the country who could never have made it to that particular,
Right.
theater festival.
Yeah, that's why, and do more of that, especially now where it's so much easier. You can pretty cheaply get 4K cameras and stuff like that. You could, and just even if it's just documentation, right? Even if it's forget about the money of just like there should be it's a shame how many things are just lost to time, either through deterioration of the materials like this, or that they just didn't have the ability to film. It's a bummer we don't have a record of the Langella Dracula. Could you imagine being able to see that now?
If we live in a golden age, which we do, in
Mhm.
which at just the whim, you're like, I want to watch the entirety of Exo-Man, the TV movie from the 1970s. You
Sure.
can.
Yeah.
as people do.
As
Robin can literally just lean behind him and grab the Bermuda depths anytime he wants. He could
Anytime
go
I
back
want.
down into the depths of
That's
Bermuda.
why the
Oh,
stuff
God.
that isn't available really stands out, right? There are still those
Yeah,
things where you're like,
absolutely.
oh
Yeah.
man, or things. I mean, I see this all the time online where people are like, Brendan, you and I have had conversations like this where it's like, I seem to remember a TV movie, and then you're almost like, did that actually happen? Like some of this stuff is so
Yeah,
lost to time
right.
that you start to question, like, Jesus, did I imagine that show?
Which was for at least 10 years, Bermuda Depths online was.
Yeah,
I don't know if this was a real thing.
yeah,
And then
Yeah.
finally, it starts coming out like in Napster or people trading files, and then finally Warner Archives restores it as
Yeah.
a Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Which
I'll
mean,
tell you the
Warner
one that
Warner
was
Archive
recent
is doing the
was
Lord's work, I gotta say.
They're doing God's work 100%. Recently for me, I kept thinking about, and I've mentioned this probably on the show before, this TV movie called High Risk, which was about ex-circus performers
Yeah.
who performed
Oh,
theft
yeah, you brought this
for
up.
He has
good.
brought this up before, yeah.
And the biggest name in it at the time was Victor Buono as Sebastian the Magician.
Yeah.
But it also had ISIS, Joanna Cameron.
Right.
Oh my God.
Almighty ISIS.
Laura Pulver, man.
All
She
right.
was-
Winds,
she's
four
great.
winds, lift me,
Um,
carry
and-
me
Once
on
more,
the-
I have to turn the hose on over
talked
here.
about
Jesus,
it.
you guys.
Like I talked about like on Instagram and stuff how much I love this TV movie when I was a kid, and finally somebody commented and said about 3 weeks ago someone put this up as a movie on YouTube. You can find
Wow.
it. Now this is the link, and I was just like, oh, thank you, internet, and watched
Yeah.
it, and it was very charming.
Yeah.
There you go. Sometimes it's not worth the search.
Sometimes, yeah, I've had many a thing where I'm like, I remember loving that,
Yeah.
and then you're like, uh-oh. Never mind. That was terrible. Yeah.
But I told you that Mr. Merlin wasn't what you wanted it
Never.
to be.
It was a
I
classic,
said,
Brendan.
don't go down the Mr. Merlin
How
hole.
dare you?
It's not worth it.
When we first started talking about Sherlock Holmes, I was like, oh boy, and then we could watch Return of the World's Greatest Detective, and then I watched this thing because it's on YouTube, and it's just terrible.
Yeah, that's not making the
No.
list. I will say, Robin, you would appreciate this. My father forever has talked about one of the greatest things he ever saw on this show that he was, and he's like, why isn't this available? I can never find it anywhere. And it's Robert Forster as Banyan. And the way he has talked about it, though, no show can
really
be as
good.
I'm sure it is, but no show can be as good as what my whole life, he's just like, there was this show, and it was he was Banyan, and he's just
John, to your point, Banyan is probably one of the best Quinn Martin TV shows you're ever going to see.
And that's why I bet it would be good, and because Forster, it's still a Quinn Martin show.
There was a similar show that came out about 5 years later with Wayne Rogers called City of Angels.
Yes,
that is 1,000 times better.
And, I'll have to ask my dad about that.
Gone a little far afield.
Well, I do think it's.
I'm pulling it back in.
I mean, we're still talking about this, but yes, this has become a discussion of just lost media. But yeah,
I will be the one to say to the listening and viewing audience that until there is all our longtime viewers, until there is a restored version of these things, you probably should not search them out. Instead, read the play.
Yep.
Listen to the Wells.
Definitely listen to the Wells performance of it, because that's amazing. Obviously,
but
surprise.
And until they repixelate it, it's just not going to be a good viewing experience at all.
No, it's not a good.
No, I mean, I'm glad I watched it, but unless you're like really invested in this character and aesthetic or these actors, it's a tough set. Like I said, I did at a certain point just kind of like glance up at the screen, but mainly listen to it, and still found it actually because the patter of the dialogue is a pleasure. I love that.
It works as an
snappy dialogue kind of stuff. So
Right. John, as I was quote unquote watching this, I was also rearranging my physical media shelf. So, you know,
Yep. That's the
Understood.
way to do it. So if you want an entertainment, but but also yes, to the point of if that's how maybe do just go ahead and then listen to the actual radio drama that
This
Wells
is a great
did.
Holmes, and
It's a great Holmes. It's a bummer that we didn't get a more, like if Langella had done a proper TV movie or something that could have really captured his portrayal of Holmes in a way that is better preserved. I would appreciate that.
So what's next for us on the thing?
On the thing is a thing with the thing. It's it's a TV movie called Sherlock Holmes and the Masks of Death. And this is...
Oh, I don't think I've ever seen this.
No, this is... we did not... because we covered him on a whole show, this is Peter Cushing's final performance as Sherlock Holmes in the 1980s. This is a considerably older Holmes. But yeah, we will be watching...
John Mills is Watson.
I believe that's correct, yes. As Sherlock Holmes and the Masks of Death from 1984. I believe it's one of his last appearances in anything, Peter Cushing.
Wow.
Yeah. And there, so it will be interesting to see. I've never seen it. It's from our friends over at Tyburn.
Wow.
Okay. Hopefully it's in better condition than
I believe this one was like released on DVD and stuff like that. So it's at least, in watchable condition.
Yeah.
We're not going to have to seek this one out or anything. But I'm curious to see it. Of course, we love a Peter Cushing, and that leads us to the plug for the patron. If you want to hear us talk about a bonus Sherlock Holmes movie as part of our Peter Cushing series, we do talk about The Hammer, Hound of the Baskervilles, and one of the reasons I didn't, because we had already talked about that, so that's why I was like, we can do his last one. We did his first one, and now we'll have covered his last one as Holmes. You can head over to our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/punchupent. That's punchupent. You get cool exclusive bonus content like the aforementioned Peter Cushing miniseries that we did. We also did one on Vincent Price, and we've got some other ones, cooking in the hopper there. So, head over and check that out for even more content and lots of other.
Hopper?
We have a hopper.
I didn't think we could afford a hopper.
You know what? Our
cooking in the hopper.
That's what our patron money is paying for. Our very expensive state-of-the-art hopper.
All right then.
So yeah, head over, check that out over there, and also make sure you follow us on YouTube, which is youtube.com/@punchupentertainment. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, and never miss an episode. You wouldn't want to miss it. You'll be lost. It's such a complex story we weave.
Yeah, it is. There are characters, there are arcs.
Yeah.
There's apparently the police coming for me, so that's got that going on.
Not again.
But there will be. There's quite a bit of you. We're recording these fairly early in advance, so there's a lot of new content on our YouTube channel you're gonna want to check out. Head over there and do that. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this week's episode. Until next week, the case file is closed.